Doctors have been causing a lot of problems for the Trump administration recently because not only has Donald Trump's own cognitive and physical health been called into question, and the lies that he and Carolyn Lewitt told us been debunked, but other members of his administration have had their lies debunked by a breaking health report. Kristi Noem, Stephen Miller, and J.D. Vance, who tried to push a false narrative and defame after her death. Renee Good, in a way, that is all falling apart right now after her family released a personal autopsy just hours ago that is exposing the lies of the Trump administration and implicating them all. We are going to get into Donald Trump's health, and we are going to get into the fatal news a doctor has shared that Donald Trump is dreading. But like I said, it starts with Donald Trump's health, which he's talking about himself right now in a way that is only bringing more attention to the matter.
We saw the bruising on your hand. Are you okay?
Very good.
You good?
I clipped it on the table. So I put a little, what do they call it, cream on it. But I clipped it. I would say take aspirin if you like your heart, but don't take aspirin if you don't want to have a little bruising.
He seems very confused about the reasons for his bruising, why it's worse, what he's taking. For someone who always likes to talk about how strong he is, how tough he is, how Donald Trump is in such great health that it is remarked upon by doctors, he really can't give us a straight answer on what they're remarking upon. Donald Trump also likes to bring up the fact that they always push him away from the cognitive test. Right, they say, Donald, you don't need to take that. But he insists President United States, pretty busy job. Not a lot of time for cognitive test. But Donald Trump says, no, I have to take it, because I love them so much. They are so fun for me. Now, like I said, there is a lot of medical news that we have to get into in this video, including that autopsy that was released by Renee Good's family that is disrupting Donald Trump's entire disgusting narrative. But of course, I want to start with his lie about his health being debunked by a doctor releasing a bit of a report of their own. Doctor questions Donald Trump's health claims after his huge bruise was pointed out on Air Force One. A cardiac expert has questioned Donald Trump's health regimen after the president admitted to taking a higher dose of aspirin than his doctor said was necessary. A gnarly new bruise appeared on Donald Trump's left hand on Thursday, but the 79-year-old president told reporters that he was feeling good and insisted that he had simply clipped the hand. Trump claimed that his bruises, and he bruises more easily due to his unusual aspirin routine, which apparently is stronger than what his doctor thinks he needs. I would say, take aspirin if you like your heart, but don't take aspirin if you don't want to have a little bruising, he told reporters while flying home from Davos, Switzerland on Air Force One. I take the big aspirin, and when you take the big aspirin, they tell you you'll bruise. The doctor said, you don't have to take that, sir. You're very healthy. I said, I'm not taking any chances. But Dr. Jonathan Reiner, cardiologist to the former Vice President Dick Cheney, wrote on Twitter that Trump's explanation makes no sense. Why would you continue to take a higher dose of aspirin than your doctor recommends if you're bruising excessively? Asked Reiner, who is a professor at George Washington University and a CNN medical analyst. When reached for comment, White House spokeswoman Taylor Rogers told the Daily Beast in a statement, the president answered this question on Air Force One. You would think a so-called doctor would have better listening skills. Unfortunately, extreme cases of Trump derangement syndrome have severe side effects. Such is a loss of common sense for a liberal activist like Jonathan Reiner. President Trump's excellent doctors have repeatedly affirmed that he is in perfect health. I don't think the former cardiologist for Dick Cheney is some sort of progressive superstar. But these are the types of things that the Trump administration has to tell themselves to feel comfortable with the fact that the president is in severe cognitive and physical decline. Now, like I said, this wasn't even somehow the worst doctor's report that Donald Trump got in the past 24 hours. Because after telling this story, that Jonathan Ross, the ICE thug who stole the life of Renee Good, was simply acting in self-defense, A new autopsy from Renee Good's family is revealing that narrative quickly falls apart. The defense that J.D. Vance jumped to the disgusting way that this administration operates, devoid of any care of empathy, to call her a domestic terrorist. It is being ripped up. It is being shredded. It is being debunked by this autopsy. And it's what they all dreaded. Renee Good's private autopsy reveals more details of ICE killing. Renee Good was shot in her breast, arm, and near her left temple, according to autopsy details revealed by her family. Attorneys and independent post-mortem, commissioned by law firm Ramanucci and Blandon, found that the wounds to Good's left forearm and right breast were not life-threatening, but the shot that entered her head killed her. The autopsy was described as preliminary. Video of the incident shows ICE agent Jonathan Ross firing multiple bullets at Good from the front inside of her car. The DHS administration officials, including Vice President J.D. Vance, have attempted to claim that Good was a domestic terrorist who was trying to run over Ross. However, video from the scene shows Good turning away from hitting Ross as another ICE agent wrestled with her car door. The killing triggered mass ICE protest in Minneapolis. Intentions have simmered as administration and local officials put out competing narratives about protest and immigration in Minnesota. Vance, of course, appeared in the state today to try to further push his narrative. What is being revealed in this autopsy is what we knew in that first video. And it is scary that we need an autopsy. And it is even more terrifying that Democrats and Republicans, not that we need to put labels on things, but we do. I would say rational people and MAGA cultists watched the same video and somehow had different takes. That Renee Good turning her car away from an ICE agent with his phone out harassing her made her a domestic terrorist is something that didn't make a lot of sense to me. But what this report reveals, what it confirms, and why Trump and Vance and Noam and Miller dreaded it, is that even the fullest extent of a good faith argument that you would accept from conservatives, which you never would, as if you were saying that the shots fired illegally under the DOJ policy for ICE at Renee Good, those first two shots when they would have claimed self-defense, what was the point of the third? If you are parallel with the vehicle and you are shooting in from the side, no longer in harm's way, what was the point? It is unjustifiable. The first two are also obviously unjustifiable, but you'll hear a lot of maggots saying, well, he was just trying to protect himself from a woman, trying to get away from his harassment, of course, but that's not how they see it. But the third shot being revealed as the one that ultimately stole her life from her in this autopsy confirms it. It confirms that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller are liars. Now, we've known this, but for anyone who needs the full medical report, there you go. You can't argue with it. But they're going to try, because their president is mentally deranged. Donald Trump has always been that way. He will continue to be that way. It'll get worse over time. But as we saw this week in Davos, and as we see every goddamn day, and I wish we didn't have to, the man has lost his mind, and I think few gave a better analysis of that, because I'm fucking sick and tired of having to talk about just how deranged he is. No one gave a better analysis than Lawrence O'Donnell, which I think you should check out.
Had no idea what was coming out of his mouth. Those 3-minute deals he claims he made, just describing that one hallucination with the president of France took him more than 3 minutes. His ignorance is getting bigger. Knowledge is actually the antidote to ignorance. Ignorance gets reduced through knowledge. But Donald Trump is uneducable. Donald Trump hears the phrase, most favored nation, has no idea what it means, throws it into a hallucination about drug prices, has no idea how they work, and thinks he's somehow doing Americans a favor by convincing the French president to raise the cost of drugs, which would in effect raise the cost of drugs around the world and raise the cost of drugs from what would have been a lower price for Americans. The French government actually put out a statement complete with Donald Trump's favorite phrase, fake news. The statement says, quote, "It's been claimed that President Emmanuel Macron increased the price of medicines. He does not set their prices. They are regulated by the Social Security system and have, in fact, remain stable. Anyone who has set foot in a French pharmacy knows this. In the middle of Donald Trump's dazed and confused incoherence today, he said one of his favorite phrases. He said, "I'll be honest with you." He throws that in from time to time. That's something you've never heard me say on this program. As someone who cares about words and their meaning, to me, it would mean that whenever I don't say it, that I'm not being honest with you. And whenever Donald Trump says, to be honest with you, what he says next is never honest. The impulse to say, "I'll be honest with you," comes from his pathological lying. It is a trademark line of lying salesmen like Donald Trump. Imagine a president of France having to respond to the hallucinations of a madman. Imagine leaders of countries around the world having to deal with that madman in one way or another for the next 3 years. It was Republican President Gerald Ford who used the phrase "long national nightmare" to describe the corrupt presidency of Richard Nixon, who chose Gerald Ford as vice president after Nixon's first vice president pleaded no contest to tax evasion. The presidency of Richard Nixon was a long national nightmare. But the presidency of Donald Trump is worse, much worse.
In 24 hours, in the same span, an autopsy exposing the lies that J.D. Vance and Christine O'Malley and Stephen Miller and Donald Trump tried to push, and several reports raising concerns about the lies that Donald Trump is telling about his own cognitive and physical state. I would say, when a doctor speaks, it is usually bad news for Donald Trump. So I say to the doctors of America, continue to let us in, right? Continue to share, because we need accountability and we are going to cover it all on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. Leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. I'm going to have to start making a habit of doing this later at night, but I'm currently recording at 12:35 in the morning. So if I was a little sleepy in this video, it is because this is an incredibly depressing topic. I hate ICE and I'm tired, but I will continue to bring the news. I will not let them silence me. I'll keep on fighting. I hope you do too. And until next time, I'll see you soon.